Good evening. How everybody doing today? Yeah, I know I've been gone for 2 or 3 days. I've been having technical problems of different kinds, but I always will try to put something positive on at 7 o'clock, even if it's not me. It will be someone that's positive, talking about something I think is educational towards us as a people. So I would definitely be putting something on every day. I will try to be consistent. Although I know I wasn't in a couple of days. I wasn't consistent, particularly at 7 o'clock. But if I put something there, I forward something somebody done said to me that is positive. I wish all my friends would take a little time and look at it and try to analyze it and understand it and get some truth out of it and continue to move and push for the truth. And so I just want to thank everybody that do take the opportunity to listen to some of the things that I have to say. We're still dealing with this theory of knowledge, where we left off from before. Um, we have to understand that, like I said the other day, a theory is just a theory until it's become a proven fact. Then it become a proven fact. It becomes the truth. And then once we know it's the truth, we got to continue to push the truth. And that's the only thing gonna make us human, to push the truth. You know it's the truth. You know, one just can't call themselves a human because they walk up on 2 feet. President Secretary of Guinea said one must prove and show their contributions as being a human being. So a human being is not one just walk up on their feet, make you a human. I mean, you can be incorrect human, a human that do things that is against their people in all kinds of aspects of life, even up to the aspect of doing wrong and lying to us ourselves as a people, and continue to push some lies that been pushed upon us by other people. So this theory of knowledge is a concept of getting to a particular point, to a particular position of reality. Now, I don't know why it's so hard sometimes for us as an African people to deal with reality. Like we run from reality. Like reality is something that we don't want to face, because reality point to you the truth. And a lot of us don't want to deal with the truth. We rather continue to push something incorrect than to push something correct. We rather continue to push a lie than to push the truth. And we said that one truth will murder 1,000 lies. So, we must deal with this theory of knowledge to try to move us forward. And anytime you're dealing with a theory of knowledge, then you're trying to make some sense out of the scientific process in which one is taken to trying to come to a conclusion of the theory that they may have and bring it into world civilization. Either it will come into world civilization to prove that the theory that the individual had was incorrect. And his theory was not based upon scientific knowledge because it was incorrect. So a theory is just a theory. You know, we need to prove them as a correct theory rather than just pushing something and then really not working on it, like I said the other day. Then this knowledge of understanding, this knowledge of understanding history is very important, because we must do everything in our power to discuss, research, analyze our development and reproduction in world history as a people from historical materialism. We must look at our history, use our history as a tool towards liberation and freedom. We must look at our history as a driving point towards liberation and freedom for us as the African people from a Pan-Africanist perspective. This thing of historical materialism can be discussed because it's a dialectical fact of discussion to prove that the history that we lived as a people was more scientific than what we are dealing with right now in life upon us as a people. In order to be able to understand that, we have to go back and look at our historical materialism. We have to look at the way that we lived, the kind of structure that we had in different parts of Africa. Was the structures the same in different parts of Africa? If not, how was they different? We have to get some kind of conscious understanding of us as a people and things that we brought into world civilization, not something that's forced upon us and trying to separate us from our history. So historical materialism is very important. Historical materialism shows, as Dr. Clark said, well, where people have been, what the people have did, how people have thought, what the people have accomplished in world civilization before any Europeans on earth. And I don't know why it's so hard for us to want to study our history. Why is it hard? Why is it difficult? Why you don't want to know about yourself? You see people in the U.S. driving around with tags in front of their car, know themselves. I hope they do know ourselves. And I'm glad that they push that even if they're not doing no historical analysis upon our history. But we must come and be involved in our history, looking at our history, seeing our history is more important than anybody else's history to us, and how we as the African people have influenced other peoples in the world and tradition in Africa from our accomplishments in all areas of science. We were masters in all areas of science. And then the slightest research can prove that. So we must look at historical materialism as a weapon to free ourselves. How can it not? It's your history, our history, that we have to study to see how we're supposed to be trying to live in world civilization. And how did we live in world civilization before the coming of the Europeans? We got to stop following these capitalist Europeans. We got to start dealing with our history. We must start reading and analyzing our history. We must. Because everywhere you look at us as a world, we suffering up under the same oppressive system of capitalism, imperialism, Zionism, racism. We still struggling up under neo-colonialism. That's ones we definitely got to get rid of. These neo-colonialist puppets in Africa and throughout the world. Ones who are not pushing Africa forward. As Dr. Clark said, who portrayed the African Revolution. Don't let your name be on the list. So historical materialism is very important. All of our history, not just a little of our history. We as the African people been fighting ever since we've been in this slavery. Everywhere we was in the slavery, we've been fighting. Right now, people's in Germany, on the street, raising hell because of racism. But if you're fighting racism, then you need to be fighting capitalism. Because capitalism gave birth to racism, not vice versa. That's why historical materialism is so important, understanding history. And when we say historical materialism, we're talking about our history as a people, without any other influences from the outside. There was no outside. We are the oldest peoples on earth. We had our own way of life. We had our own concepts and belief systems. We don't need nobody else's concepts and belief systems. As Dr. Clark can say again, some Johnny come lately, and you're going to pick up and follow and look at his history and think his history is better, more important, more developed, more everything than our history. When they done came to Africa and stole everything that they know, even the subject of philosophy. European used to come to Africa and study philosophy. Go back to Europe, pushing some of those concepts, then stand a chance. People wasn't progressed enough in their mind to even deal with the concept. Couldn't visualize the concept. Couldn't do nothing to the concept. They were killing some of them philosophers, throwing them in jail and stuff. And then today they call some of them their greatest philosophers. Really? I don't believe so. Think we got them beat hands down, in every field you want to look at. I mean, we Africans, we did the first heart surgeries in the world. Now we don't even have a hospital. Our development is supposed to give us progress. As Chancellor Williams did with this book called How Europe Undeveloped Africa. What is development? What is undevelopment? How can you analyze a place and see if they develop or not developed? Now, sometimes people call U.S. developed, but it's not developed, it's undeveloped. This coronavirus letting you know right now, U.S. is undeveloped. And they claim to be the richest place in the world. Undeveloped. It's undeveloped if you got some technologies, techniques, and instruments and everything that you can perform certain operations. But in the capitalism, if you ain't got the money, you're just a dead person. Now, so how can that be development if there's things that the people done brought forth the world civilization, but they don't have the right to use it? And it's the people that develop and bring forth everything in the world. It's the people. It ain't no one individual. It's always the people. Individual can't do nothing by themselves. Nothing. Not even being born. You must have a carrier. You must have someone to even have the sperm. You can't do nothing by yourself. You don't live on no island, although a lot of them might feel that way. But historical materialism is going back to look at our history, especially before the coming of the Europeans, even the Arabs in Africa with their influences. We have to look at the way that we had our whole system set up in Africa. Because we had no hungry people. We had no unhealthy people. And we know that from the Europeans kidnapping us, bringing us over here, putting us on the slave block, examining our whole body. We didn't have no cavities and nothing of that nature. We were big, strong, healthy African warriors. And that's who they came to kidnap. Strong, healthy African warriors from out of Africa, the youth of Africa. So we must go back and look at and view historical materialism. It must be, in order to be able to get to why is political education so important to us as an African people. We're African people. We all go through the same stuff. Even I want to speed up this conversation with stuff that's going on in the U.S. And I'm saying to all y'all brothers and sisters who live in Africa, stay home. Don't be trying to come over here to Babylon. Don't be trying to come over here to Babylon because you're going to catch hell. Matter of fact, at this time, they won't even let you come to Babylon, They don't want nobody looking like us coming to Babylon. And then again, you look at historical materialism, how Europeans are and stuff, how they don't want African influences throughout the world and thinking and acting and talking the same language of Pan-Africanism, a liberation and freedom of the continent of Africa. I can remember when Brother Malcolm X said students had invited him to come to France to speak at the universities in France, and the French government wouldn't let him come into France to talk. The people want that, but they won't let him come in and talk. So they don't want him looking at historical materialism, dealing with the truth, dealing with knowledge, dealing with understanding, dealing with the need for togetherness, need for organization. I can remember when Brother Kwame Ture had been invited by the students in England to come to England and speak. The English government would not give him a visa to let him come in. Not even. I can even know that the British government wouldn't even give Minister Farrakhan a visa to come into England to speak to the people there that wanted to hear what he had to say. I mean, you see how they con us off, and then we say we free. No, We still living up under the same colonial system of slavery. And we don't want to accept that. We want to think we free. You can get in your car and go somewhere, motel, go to the store, go to a restaurant, if you what? Have the capital. If you have the capital. I'm not talking about, hey, how money going to decide the health of a people? How is money more important than the health of a people? You can see that in the U.S. government right there. Your health ain't worth nothing. They say 2,000 more people gonna die soon. They don't know how soon, but they say soon, 2,000 more. I mean, how you gonna call you living under a developed country? That's not developed. One place they don't never mention about the coronavirus is where? Cuba. And Cuba sending doctors to other places helping people with the ailments. But they never said nothing about Cuba because they know Cuba got more doctors than any country in the world. And all those who want to go to Cuba, go to medical school free, you can. Yeah, you can go to Cuba and go to medical school free. No doubt about it. But we must look at historical materialism. We got to look at our history from the beginning to now and study our history. And see, our history is the most important thing to us as a people. Freedom should be the most important thing to a people that's in slavery. Once you know you're still a slave, then you need to be trying to do everything you can to get out of slavery. Should be joining with the people who are doing the same thing you're doing, trying to get out of slavery. Understand that we're still slaves. Why we're still slaves? Because Africa is not free. And we'll be slaves until Africa is free. When Africa become free, then we'll be free. No matter where you are in the world, you will be respected. We will not be treated as we are treated now in the world. Once Africa becomes free, they have to treat you with respect. Think about how many Chinese or Asians you see in jail, see in prison. You might see one every now and then, but you don't see nothing like you see us in prison. Now, even the Indians, who they might want to call Mexicans, they from Central, South, or North America here. All them Indians, if you want to call them that. Don't care where they born at. Birth don't give you right to land. It's all of the red man land. Europeans still claiming the land, still doing all they can to suffer the indigenous people more right now. I mean, these Europeans didn't just decide to, well, we gonna change our name from Washington Devils, what they ought to name them. Been struggling against it for a long time. The American Indian Movement and the International Treaty Council been struggling against it a long time. I know that for a fact because I've been involved in it with them. Been fighting against it a long time. I mentioned the other day that the first conference they had on the Coalition Against Racism in Sports and Media. So they've been fighting a long time. They've been pushing a long time. They've been on Ted Turner a long time. I can remember when we had a big demonstration in Atlanta at the baseball stadium where they had Jane and Ted stuffed with straw-ass dummies. Saw both of them on fire and brought them up. I had a brother with a nun outfit on, got him hung on a cross, he's drinking a beer. Oh, this bud's for you. Michael Haney over there messing with them Europeans. Hey, you little cracker, let me see you do the cracker chop. Hey, how about you little fat cracker? Let me see you do the cracker chop. He was messing with them Europeans because they were letting the people hide fear to make mockery after them. There's nothing to play with. Playing with these people's history, dying to these people. And we Africans who are enslaved, jumping up on the bandwagon with these Europeans doing the same thing. No, it's incorrect. You can't be no Buffalo soldier. We like the Buffalo soldiers was somebody good. They were murdering the indigenous people. The same people that was taking us in, singing about us, feeding us, making us clothes, letting us marry into them. I mean, how are we going to just do that? That's why we must look at historical materialism. We got to look at the history of people. Like Brother Michael was talking about the Bandung Conference. Everybody was able to come to the Bandung conference, but the one people who were not able to go was Europeans. And when they sat down and analyzed and looked at their history, what they were going through and everything, all of them come out to the same results. Europeans. That was proof then. We can't be following no European way of life. We must look at historical materialism. We must look at it. Then we can go into dialectic materialism, dialectic and historical materialism, or historical and dialectic materialism. Or we can talk about the history as a people, the ones that have the knowledge enough to talk about it. Because I said the other day, if you're not involved in it, then you can't talk about it because you don't know the subject matter. I see my 15 minutes is up, so thank you. I did 20 minutes and something, so thank you. But forward to Pan-Africanism, forward to the unity of African people, forward Africans.